Hello and welcome to the interview here on France 24. Greece's Prime Minister Alexis Tsipras told the European Parliament that his government will present, quote, specific proposal to its creditors this Thursday in a last-ditch effort to relaunch negotiations, just as the shadow of a so-called Grexit grows bigger and bigger. This, as Greece is also asking for a new loan from its European partners. So yet again, there will be a so-called last chance European Union summit scheduled for this Sunday. Our guest is Georgios Daremos, who is an advisor to the Greek government. Obviously, we'll discuss the current crisis. Very simple question to begin with. Are the coming days really the last chance for Greece?
First of all, thank you for inviting me to your distinguished program. You are actually right that this coming week and the next days are very crucial because of the so-called bank holidays and the liquidity crisis that is faced by Greece. So some kind of drastic action has to be taken in terms of coming to some kind of initial negotiation agreement in order to be able to solve this problem of liquidity and then proceed with a more established negotiation agreement.
Okay, but obviously in the last few days, Greece's European partners have been disappointed because they were waiting for proposals that will soon come but haven't been there. And obviously with the referendum interrupting a previous negotiation cycle, they are not totally convinced that the Greek government is serious.
Yes, the Greek government is very serious, but actually the partners themselves declared that we have to wait till the referendum ends and then we will proceed with the negotiations themselves. So actually we had the end of the referendum and actually we have also a new Minister of Finance, and it is obvious that as soon as possible the new proposals are coming to the negotiating table on the part of Greece.
So do you trust that those proposals will be, as Mr. Tsipras told the European Parliament, credible and specific enough to convince the European partners that indeed there is a deal inside? Because in many capitals of Europe, there is growing doubts that Greece and its European partners will be able to find a compromise.
Yes, I believe that they are going to be quite credible, although within a general framework, because they don't come out of the blue, but they are a continuation of the already established negotiation terms in the previous months. The new elements, if you like, is that some kind of statement must be included concerning debt restructuring, which is very important because, as IMF itself has indicated, it needs some kind of verification of the sustainability of the debt, so the debt has to be treated in the negotiation discussions, plus an investment package that is necessary to kickstart the economy and have the possibility of paying off the debts.
So what you're saying is Greece is going to present reforms to raise VAT on pensions, the ones that have been discussed. This will be confirmed, maybe more precisely, but Greece wants a form of commitment from its partners on debt relief. Obviously, you know that debt relief is not something that is going down well in many capitals, especially in Berlin.
Okay.
So do you think Germany will accept any kind of commitment on debt relief because it has said no repeatedly until now?
In a sense, Germany has said that it's not something that that should be, let's say, immediately put on the negotiating table, but it's something that we can consider in the future. So some
Reforms
kind of statement.
First, debt relief later.
Later, certainly, but it depends on the type of restructuring that will be discussed. Most probably, a kind of prolongation of the payment period and some kind of reduction of the interest associated with existing loans.
But do you think Germany is ready to accept in those negotiations a statement on debt relief that will at least signal that there will be such a relief in the foreseeable future?
Yes, because this is a signal of good faith, let's say, of goodwill in terms of cooperating and coming in agreement between the two sides.
So,
and it is also an expression of the European solidarity.
There is one thing that people have noticed is Greece's military expenses. I think it's 2.2% of GDP, some 4 billion euros. And people are wondering why Greece has such a big budget for the military and is not doing more. The European Commission Chief Jean-Claude Juncker asked actually for an effort. Why is your government so intent on keeping a very high military budget when the coffers are empty?
Okay, actually, in the previous negotiations before the referendum, Greece had accepted to cut down 200 million and then it even raised this amount to 400 million per year. So it's quite willing to reduce certain parts of the military budget allocated for defense purposes in order to satisfy, let's say, the possibility of generating a primary surplus.
So what you're saying is Greece might be flexible on the issue, might be ready to do more
exactly.
on the issue. In Greece, obviously, there's the big problem of bank holidays, which are going to last for a while. How dire is the situation for the Greek people right now, and how long will they be able to sustain this?
They will be able to sustain this situation for a week. It is, if you like, bearable on the part of the people, and there is a kind of curious quietness in terms of responding to the bank holidays. But of course, it has its repercussions into the economy itself, because economic transactions are difficult to realize given this given the closed banks. So this creates an effect, and also it affects adversely the revenues, if you like, both of the state and of the whole economy. So it is deleterious in that respect.
There is another deadline, July 20th, when the Greek government is supposed to repay the European Central Bank 3.5 billion euros. The Greek government has not been able to reimburse the International Monetary Fund a couple of days ago. This is the European Central Bank. How much of a deadline is it? Or can Greece, just like it did with the IMF, say, okay, we're not able to give the money back, forget about it?
Actually, Greece by itself wouldn't be able to pay off these particular bonds owed to the ECB. But the basic idea is to find a formula to roll over this debt, especially, for example, if the proposal proposed by President Hollande is accepted, that some kind of interim a period of agreement can be established that could solve the liquidity problem in view of establishing a medium-term program with structural reforms for the next 2 years, then this kind of proposal could really solve the case of Greece not defaulting, let's say, on the ECB loan.
There's a lot of talk, obviously, about Grexit. The head of the European Commission, Jean-Claude Juncker, said, that they had studied very carefully a possible scenario for a Grexit. What about your government? Have you began work on possible strategies if there's no agreement with the EU, with the Eurozone, to get out of the euro, and what would happen then?
From the very beginning, the strategy of the Greek government is to come to an agreement.
If there is no agreement, you have to consider that.
That's true, but in that case, it's a matter of compulsion. It's a matter of forcible, let's say, exiting the Eurozone, and then you have to come up with alternative schemes like possibly parallel currencies and this type of situations. But it's not a matter of voluntary choice on the part of government, because the government has systematically shown its commitment to arriving at an agreement with
Right, but government have to prepare for the better, but also for the worse. And if there's no agreement, and if Greece is forced out of the euro, Are you prepared with a plan B?
The most viable solution in that case would be a kind of having an alternative currency.
Return to the drachma or
something, perhaps a kind of taxation IOUs or.
But would
of instruments?
Some people say, or maybe it's not such a drama if this happened. From your standpoint, would this really be? I'm not talking about political, but economically, socially, would this be a catastrophe for Greece?
It would be catastrophic for Greece.
Why?
First of all, because when you introduce a new currency, you need to have a period of where people develop trust to the currency in order to use it. Second, there is the possibility that a kind of black market is going to be, because it's going to have a kind of exchange ratio with euro, and that will create possibly a black market, and it's going to depreciate quite quickly, and this bring in inflation and a lot of disagreement and complaint and grievances on the part of the people. So
it's a nightmare scenario.
Yeah, it's a kind of very difficult situation for Greek society.
Okay, Georgios Deramas, thank you very much for coming and sharing your views and your thoughts on the Greek crisis. Obviously, we'll continue to follow that very closely here on France 24. Thank you for watching this interview.